Alrighty, we're gonna go ahead and get started. So just loading everything up here. If you're watching this on the replay, feel free to skip forward. I'm just gonna let a couple people jump in here before I really get started. I just wanna pull up this on my computer so I can see you guys talking. So it's always really difficult on the phone. So let's see here. Make sure everything is muted so we don't have any crazy sounds coming in. So I'm just gonna make sure I can pull this feed up here so I can see. What do we got? There, oh wait, maybe. There we go, okay. I see it now. So there's some people jumping in, awesome. Go ahead and leave a comment where you're from. If you're watching this live, if you're watching it on the replay, go ahead and let us know that you're watching it on the replay. Feel free to share this with anyone that you think is, whether they're interested in becoming an NTP or NTC. If they're, I'll give you kind of a jump start here. If they're a truck driver, share this with them. That's who I work with primarily. So if you have a truck driver in your life, I can almost guarantee you they could 100% benefit from nutritional therapy. Go ahead and share it with them, whatever it may be. Go ahead and share it all over, anywhere, and we'll go ahead and get started. I see some people rolling in. So I've got to flip to my notes here, make sure I've got the right notes. I've got a couple of videos I'm doing today. I want to make sure I have the right notes. So I even see a couple of our drivers, super awesome. We've got both Sarah and James, who are now NTPs as well, who are drivers. We've actually had multiple drivers go through the program, super exciting. So my name is Michael Rutherford, as it says in the title. I am a nutritional therapy practitioner as well as a Primal health coach. Hi there, Tracy from Michigan. What I really like about this combination, so first I'll say there's probably only about a half dozen of us, and it's really fun. I love the power and the combination of the two. Primal Health Coach is from the Primal Health Coach Institute, designed by Mark Sisson of Primal Blueprint, and Brad Kearns, who's his kind of co-author in that. Fantastic program. Looks at the whole lifestyle. It's a health coach. So it's looking at the entire lifestyle from an ancestral base. So that's kind of who I am. I work with Destination Health and Let's Truck. What that is that's actually my father's company, who he's had that since I was born. It's kind of grown and shifted over the years, but that is kind of the basis. He is a third generation driver. He no longer drives or even owns trucks anymore, but he did for, goodness, probably about 20 years. And he's been working in that industry as a big voice for quite some time. He has a radio show every day on XM Sirius Radio talking about trucking, the business, growth. We have a health segment every Wednesday. It actually just finished right now. I was just listening to that prior. It's from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific time on channel 146. And fantastic piece, tons of information. That's kind of how we've grown. He's been involved, and he was already a trusted voice. He's been speaking at conferences and writing newspaper or magazine articles and publications and things for probably 20 years. And so he's kind of grown a following, and we had a really unique ability of a tribe that was already grown. He already had a very big following. So we were able to just kind of plug health into that, as it does revolve around their ability and their business. They can actually lose what's called a CDL, the commercial driver's license, if their health becomes too bad. Obviously, when they're driving thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds down the road, that is a very lethal weapon, essentially. And if something were to happen because of their health, maybe they pass out, whatever it may be, this can be a problem. So it's something that they actually track. It's not really, it's not tracked great. They don't have to have pristine health by any means, but it is part of it. So it's, Brad, I'm surprised you actually made it on time to something, of mine. So I'll give you that. Brad is one of our many members. We have a Facebook group of around 17,000. If you guys start joining our Facebook group, I'm gonna get these links in here, so you guys can figure out where all we are. Make sure, okay, I had the right things here. you can join our group. You can help us break 17,000. Last I checked, we were just shy of 17,000. So 11 of you guys helped us out, broke that. It's a huge group, tons of support. You don't have to be a truck driver. But yeah, that's what we do. So we are Destination Health with Let's Truck. Our focus obviously is truck drivers. In our group, we now have family members and friends, people completely unrelated. But that's what we do. We help them. Obviously, as a NTP, we believe in the foundation of real whole food, nutrient dense, properly prepared. That is what we focus on, and we try and instill and teach them that they can actually take control of their health through that use of real whole food. And it's become really powerful. We took a poll, gosh, it's probably been 4, 5, 6 months since we did the last one, which is probably half the size of the group. We've had a tremendous amount of growth in the last year. We've been around for about 4 years now as a group. But in the last year, we've had a ton of growth because of some change. And it's been amazing. The last poll we took, it was thousands of pounds lost, hundreds of medications that were no longer needed, that they were able to get off of with the guidance of a medical professional and things like that. We as NTPs obviously don't advise to stop medications, but through their doctors and going in and the doctor seeing their results and they're no longer needing that medication, they've been able to come off. They have what's called a medical card. So if their health is good, every 2 years they have to go in for a DOT physical, a Department of Transportation. They have to go in and get a physical. It's pretty basic stuff. But if they don't meet certain parameters, they might have to come in after 1 year. They could get a 6-month or even a 3-month if their health is very poor. And if they don't meet, if they don't see some improvement and the medical professional isn't satisfied with those changes, they could actually lose their CDL and their ability to drive. That's their livelihood, their business. So their health is really an important part. We've had people go from 3-month and 6-month cards back to 1 and 2 years, which is just amazing. Not something you see very often. As many of you may know, the general conventional approach to chronic health is never improvement. It's just trying to manage it and keep it or slow down the progression and worsening of that disease or illness. Brad, I did not know they could actually get a 30-day card. That's actually really intense. 30 days is not a lot of time. I thought the 3-month was the minimum. Brad just made me aware as a driver himself. It could actually even be a 30-day. That's tight. So we've actually helped a lot of people improve these and get off of these very short, restricted DOT physical cards and things like that. It's just amazing to see those things and what we've been able to do. And our main approach and the tool we use most often is a ketogenic approach. Now, we've kind of created our own version of that. As many of you know, if you're practitioners or you're interested in alternative health and nutrition, know that with any dietary approach, you can do it in a poor way or a good way, right? So there's a lot of different ways that this could go. And we really like to focus on the good ways. We want the best. So we've actually coined this term NDK, which stands for nutrient dense keto. Now, this isn't the only thing that we believe in, and we don't think it's what everyone needs. But for our demographic, which is these truck drivers who face a lot of metabolic syndrome, that is the main problem we look at, right? So that's hyperlipidemia, there's high cholesterol or poor lipid management, high blood pressure, obesity and overweight, diabetes, insulin resistance. These are all factors that come into metabolic syndrome, right? All of those things. There is tons and tons of research that shows the very therapeutic effect of a ketogenic diet. Now, we want to make sure that they are learning to do this the proper way so that we can not only promote short-term results, but that we're also supporting longevity and optimal health. We don't just want to see the short-term weight loss, right? We want the longevity of one, being able to stick to something because it's satisfying and it's healthy and and you feel good and not restricted, but also that you're getting the nutrients and phytonutrients and all these things that are really going to help improve our biochemistry and our longevity. The whole core foundation of the NTA, right? So that's what we want to focus on. And again, we've seen amazing results. We create courses. Little sneak peek, I'm in the middle of creating one right now. I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet, but I'm in the middle of creating my very own first full-on all-me course. I'm super excited about. I helped co-create our other big course, which is our ketogenic course. We have a Keto Jumpstart live course. That was a kind of brainchild of my dad and I. He created our original one, which is a self-guided Keto Jumpstart. Super easy to go through, a little more basic and foundational. Then I took that and added more to it, and we created what's called our Keto Jumpstart Live, which is a 9-week drip course, which basically means you get a week at a time. Hi, Amy, another fellow Primal health coach and dear friend. And this is just a process that we walk someone through the transition into keto. So it's not just like standard American diet, keto next day, right? We really like to guide someone easily through this process so it's not so harsh on the body. We get into fasting of all kinds. We get into nutrient density and the quality and how things work. So I kind of helped with that, but this one is my own. I'm doing it start to finish. It's going to be another live course. Super excited. I can't wait to bring the details about it, but I'm in the midst of that. So these are tools that we are using to help people in the masses. We put together protocols and kits that focus on lifestyle and dietary and supplemental factors to help people. So we're doing we're creating a lot of content. I know as a practitioner, the fear of giving free content is very scary. We have shown that it is an amazing business model. Our company is growing at exponential rates. We've been bringing on new people. We're creating that ability as a company from a financial standpoint and just growth, that we have the support for that. But we give away a lot of free content. We offer the Nutritional Assessment Questionnaire, our NAC, the bread and butter tool of an NTP or NTC, right? We offer that for free. And they're able to get that. Now they can use that in different ways. They can call in to the radio show. They can set up a consult, which is then paid with me. So there's different ways that they can do that and utilize that. But we offer some of these services for free. We have that Facebook group where we have now lots of you guys, lots of other NTPs. There's Primal health coaches and other practitioners that are in there that help give advice, as well as just members who have been around for a long period of time. We often give book recommendations. I've read probably around 50 books. My dad's read around 150. He, by the way, is an NTP. He also did one of these, if you could find him, if you ever wanted to watch his. It was actually about a year ago. I remember a year or two ago, maybe 2 years. It just popped in my time hop the other day when I shared his. So actually pretty funny that these are pretty close in the proximity of time of year that these happened. But he's read actually over 150 books. And so we often recommend some of our favorites, and a lot of listeners have gone and gotten the audio versions to listen while they're driving down the road. And so they've gained a lot of knowledge as well, and they help. Brad is a great example. Kathy's another one who just said hi. Of these people, as well as people who have gone through our courses, because there's lots of information available in there. And so now they're helping. It's a great supportive community. Really, it's so much fun to see everything that's going on there. And the growth that we've seen and the support that people have. If you're an NTP or an NTC and you're in one of the Facebook groups that we have for us as the support, you've probably often seen some of the either success stories of before and after NAT graphs, or I share stories of people that have done things. So we have people who have changed A1Cs, a marker for diabetes, from double digits to non-diabetics. We're going from an A1C of 11, which is, I believe, an average blood sugar in the 300s, if I'm not mistaken, to a non-diabetic A1C in the low 5s, which is the low 100s, probably between 100 and 120. Average glucose. An A1C is a 3-month measurement, average. in as little as 6 months. Brad's a great example. Brad actually did it with dietary and lifestyle alone. He didn't use any supplements. He didn't even use a consult. He just listened to the advice we were giving and the stuff that we were talking about and reading the books. And he went, I believe, from like a 9.6 to a 4.9 or a 5.1, something around there. Brad could fill us in under 6 months. His weight loss, you can't even tell it's the same person. Just amazing results. Just one of 9.2 to 5.6. Okay, so maybe I embellished a little bit, but still incredible results. That's diabetic with medications to non-diabetic, no medications in about 6 months. Not even really any supplements, just diet and lifestyle. That's huge, guys. These are the changes that we're seeing in truck drivers. And they've made me become more diligent in my practices, right? Because these guys often are driving. Brad's home every day. He's got the ability and luxury to be home every day, thankfully. But we have drivers who don't even have a home. They literally live in the truck and are doing amazing things. We have a driver who about once a month comes home and cans. He uses a good quality canner. And he actually cans his own grass-fed meats, grass-fed beef, pasture-raised chicken to take on the road with him, so that he has high-quality access of good quality meats, as well as he ferments vegetables. We talk about fermenting vegetables to bring because they're a little bit more shelf stable, right? And they're a little easier to bring around. They don't require refrigeration. Obviously, it helps stop the growth so they don't continue to ferment, but you can bring those along. So we have drivers who are fermenting vegetables. We had a big conference last year that we put on, and I had drivers coming up to me, giving me their fermented vegetables to try, and it was just amazing to see the dedication and work that they're putting in. And it's really a very often neglected audience, because we just assume, we pass on that assumption and kind of judgment that they just don't care, right? But you would be amazed at how many of them have tried everything under the sun to lose weight and become healthier. And most of the diets out there just don't work, or they work for a couple months, but they're not sustainable. They're too hard to do. They're all product-based, all these things, and you just can't stick to them, or they're bland and boring and poor tasting. They're filled with crap and junk and artificial ingredients that just, again, aren't sustainable, don't taste good, and don't give optimal health. They might create weight loss, but they really don't support optimal health. And so they've just kind of given up because they think that it's them, right? That they're broken. And when my dad first started his radio show, and we first started working with this audience, a lot of resistance. It just came off as another fad diet, just another one of those things that just wasn't going to work for them. It was them, it wasn't even the diet, it was just them that was broken. But we had some who were willing to listen and try, and soon enough, the results started coming in. People would call in. It's a live radio show. They'd call in with their results, and they'd say, I can't believe it, thank you so much, or they'd post in our Facebook group, and people just started, results speak, right? So the more other people who are like them, it's not someone like me who's I've been in a truck, but never as a driver. I used to drive around with my dad when he would take it from the yard, which is where they keep the trucks and the trailers and where everything happens, to the mechanic shop or whatever. But that's my extent of being in a truck. I don't have the experience of working or living in a truck. So I've never been severely overweight. I had a little bit of excess weight, and that was it. Most of my life, I've been very athletic and lean, so I don't have that same. So if I come in and talk about that, it's a little different. But when they start seeing people who are like them, that are in their same situation, whether it's the same health or their job or whatever, getting these results, it speaks volumes as to the ability. And we have, again, thousands of people who are seeing these results and just doing amazing things. Lynn, who is actually a classmate of mine for the NTA program, brings up a great comment that truck stop food is just it's not food, right? It's food-like substances most of the time. It's just filled with junk. And oftentimes we get that, and I'm going to call it the excuse. It is a a harsh reality, but it is an excuse because, again, we have drivers who are doing amazing things. So obviously the ability is there. They're, again, canning their own meats. They're fermenting their own vegetables. They're doing all sorts of things that they can. And it's pretty amazing. We offer, different foods in our store. We have an online store on our website where you can get, F-Bomb Nut Butters. This is a company that we love. All of their nut butters, they're individual serving packets. I should have had some. I use them all the time. They're macadamia nut based. They do macadamia coconut, macadamia dark chocolate. You want to talk about heaven. And a macadamia pecan. That might be my new favorite. That is it's amazing. We also work with a company who does powdered bone broth, grass-fed, high-quality bone broth, chicken broth. They even do some flavored ones as well as collagen proteins. And they sell them in tubs. They're powdered. So literally all you have to do is add them to hot water. Guess what every truck stop has? Access to hot water. If you have a coffee pot, you can brew an empty coffee pot for hot water and just add this powder. They're now getting, high quality grass-fed pasture-raised bone broths on a regular basis. We have Paleo Valley's beef sticks as an option that they can get, which are fermented, grass-fed, New Zealand-sourced beef, and they're made into beef sticks. They are amazing, and they are fermented. So instead of using preservatives and things like that to keep them shelf stable, they've actually fermented the beef. So there's actually some probiotics in there. Really, really amazing stuff. We're trying to bring more to people that we can. We carry, I know a lot of people here are fans of desiccated liver capsules, freeze-dried liver capsules. We talk about eating organs, and I've put out liver pate recipes, and we've had a lot of people try them. I actually just had someone post the other day about their little toddler just like chowing down on a bowl of my liver pate, and it made me melt. Like, my kids eat it sometimes, and I love seeing kids eat that way. It was really cool. We've had a lot of people try that. We have people post about recipes all the time and are eating organs. They're eating oysters and sardines and cod livers. If you've never heard of cod liver, like actual cod livers, I'm not talking about the oil, but canned cod livers. These things are like ridiculous nutrient bombs. And so we've had these people that are eating these things and taking them on the road, and it's just a really amazing kind of experience. Will Yogi Parker is doing some really awesome things as well. He's another driver who just does amazing stuff. Sarah Pingle, who's an NTP and a driver, she lives full-time in the truck. Her and her husband drive a team, and it's amazing the work and dedication she puts into her food. Again, with quality and sourcing, recipes, and everything they do is just amazing. She does better stuff than I do at home most of the time. So it's really great, and again, another awesome resource. My personal journey, how I kind of went through all of this is, not surprisingly probably, is that it was my dad who introduced me to this. I grew up as an athlete. I was always involved in nutrition and fitness, and it always piqued my interest. Mostly followed the standard way, right? So the things we mostly hear from sports medicine and nutrition, whole grains, and you gotta have carbs for energy and all this stuff. I had lots of digestive issues, joint pain growing up. I spent roughly a decade and a half working in kitchens, professional kitchens, which means really hard floors, and I just blamed it on that, right? That's why I had joint pain. And I had digestive issues since I was probably 6, 7, 8 years old, all through my life, really bad, pretty debilitating at the time. Never had a real diagnosis because I just didn't want to go through the ringers, and nothing I tried worked. I tried dairy-free, I tried everything short of going free of gluten for the longest time. Imagine that was the biggest thing that changed, was getting that stuff out. Dairy and gluten out was probably the biggest change I made in my diet, which was around early 2015. I was over at my dad's. My kids were a couple months old. I have twin boys, and they were a couple months old. We were visiting at the time, And he had just started getting into some of these books. He had read Grain Brain by Dr. David Perlmutter. He had read Liz Wolfe, who's a fellow NTP, amazing person, Eat the Yolks. I know many of you probably love that book. He read that and some other ones, and just started sharing that information while we were at dinner. And I was just intrigued. I was like, okay, it makes sense. This ancestral health approach makes sense of just eating food that we've always had access to. That just makes sense. We are animals by design. We're technically animals, and so we have to have this natural diet. And before we started manufacturing food, we could just make food that we gathered and found. So the hunter-gatherer idea just made sense. So I started trying it. And after a couple months, I kind of looked back and realized I was consuming less caffeine at work. I was working 70 hours a week average in kitchens because we were in a single income household in downtown Portland with 2 kids. You can imagine, if anyone has looked at housing in Portland, how expensive that is. So I was having to work a lot. Cooks don't make a ton of money. And it was killing me, but I was consuming less caffeine. I wasn't using double the daily limit of ibuprofen. I was taking around 2,000 milligrams of ibuprofen every day for nearly a decade because of my joint pain, and I wasn't doing that anymore. My digestive issues were basically non-existent, which has never happened for more than like 4 days. It was a very regular period of IBS type things for me, constantly, and it had now been over a month since I had really had any problems, and that was just mind-blowing to me. I was like, this is the thing. I listened to Eat the Yolk, so I knew of the NTA, but at the time, it just, because of finances, wasn't an option for me at the time. What was, when I was looking around, is I had also started reading a lot of the Primal published Mark Sisson's books. And he had at the time, it was just called the Primal Health Expert. It wasn't even a coaching program. It was just to learn more about the Primal Blueprint approach. And it was $1 to start and $99 a month payment at the time. Count me in. I could make that work. So I did. I started it, and it took me about 6 months to work through, and I was just, I loved it, and I just got invested. I started working with clients one-on-one as a health coach, and I knew my goal was the NTA, and I met some other NTPs online who kept pushing me. A big one, the biggest one was Holly Higgins. If some of you may know her, she's amazing. Just an amazing NTP, dear friend. She was actually bigger than my dad, honestly, pushing me to join. She pushed me to do the scholarship. She pushed me to just join and just sign up. Even when I got offered a scholarship, which I was so incredibly thankful for, and I love that program. I wasn't even sure if I could afford it then, and she just, you got to do it. So I actually signed up for the loan. They work with a local credit union, and I got approved for that, and so I dove right in. It was actually, as I was finishing my Primal Health Coach payments, my ability to get the loan was starting. So I just kind of went from one payment to the other, and they were very similar. So that's when I realized, it's like, I can do this. And I started working deeper, and it gave me such a bigger ability and tool to use with clients. And the progress that I started seeing in clients was amazing. And in fact, my clients even shifted. When I had my own practice, I was actually mostly working with other health coaches, with a lot of Primal Health coaches. Primal Health coaches were actually probably about 50% of my clientele. They were people who they were 80, 95% there, right? They were 80, 90, maybe even 95% there, but they just had these lingering things that they couldn't get on their own, that the just plain diet and lifestyle weren't doing, and they needed to dig a little bit deeper. And the ability and the tools of the NTP and what the NTA trains us in gave me that ability to help them. It was amazing, the progress we saw. And so I loved that. So I was working with a lot of that, and I was doing my own, and I actually wanted to work in a functional medicine clinic. And so what did I do? I went and I sent around 24 emails to local practitioners, any sort of alternative practitioner, naturopaths, DOs, chiropractors, functional medicine MDs, anyone I could find that was at all interested in alternative health. And again, I sent around probably 24. I heard back maybe 6, but guess what, guys? It's for you practitioners, is like, how do I do this? Just do it. whether you call, if you're nervous and you're afraid to get shut down in person, then just send emails, right? The worst that they can say is no, thank you. They're not gonna be rude. They're not gonna be, what are you thinking? Blah, 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 I don't want you. They're just gonna say, hey, like that's not gonna fit into my practice. Or they're just not gonna answer at all. And if they don't, But guess what? I did get into one. I got into working with a functional MD. She had been an MD, a medical doctor, for about 15 years, and she had recently been a graduate of IFM, the Institute of Functional Medicine. And I had actually reached out to her, and the timing was just amazing. She was actually looking to bring in some sort of nutritionist into her practice because she needed someone to focus on that. And I reached out, and the timing was just amazing. I ended up working with her. She focused on the Bredesen protocol for cognitive decline. That's her clinical practice and focus, because that was her own journey. She started seeing some really bad cognitive issues. So that's where she focuses, and I learned a lot there. It was an amazing experience, but it wasn't quite right for me. As much as I thought that's what I wanted, and maybe sometime in the future, maybe that'll work again. It just wasn't the right experience for me. Different things. It was nothing. I don't think she was doing anything wrong. She didn't think I was doing anything wrong. It just wasn't the right fit, and that's okay. It was a learning experience, both for what I like to work with, what I like to do, and just seeing a lot of different people. And so it was a really cool experience. But then again, as I talked about kind of earlier, is there was a lot of growth in my dad's company. And that was always a big goal of mine. Since I was a kid, actually, my very first job, I was around 13. Don't tell anyone about child labor laws, okay? I think it's different when it's your own kid anyways. But I started doing really basic stuff in my dad's company because he did a lot of financing and bookkeeping and accounting, and I was just filing receipts. That's basically all I was doing. And that was kind of how I earned an allowance, and so it was really cool. But I didn't, and at first I thought I was going to get involved in finance, and originally that's what my whole goal growing up was going to finance school, and then I realized I could go to culinary school. I always loved cooking, and I made that mistake. But I always wanted to get back involved with my dad's company in a meaningful way. I didn't want to just be, and not to diminish our customer care. We have, bar none, the best customer care out there. That wasn't my goal. That's not where I wanted to be. And I wanted something deeper from my end of that. And when the nutritional stuff started, I knew that was my end. That's where I wanted to go. But the business needed to have the growth. And then the growth happened. And opportunities opened. And when my dad reached out to me, I was on top of the world. I was so excited. This is an industry that's dear to me because I grew up in that. I've always had a heart for drivers. Even just driving down the road, I always let trucks in, and I always give way to them. It's just again, my dad's a third generation. Multiple uncles of mine have drove trucks, and so it's something dear to me. So I love, and I'm so passionate about helping these people. Because I can see, I grew up seeing just the difficulties of that, and I understand the perils that they face when it comes to health. They're sedentary, it's high stress, they often have terrible schedules, their food availability is often crappy and just downright terrible. They have so many things against them. The average white male trucker has a lifespan of 56 years, guys. That's nearly 30 years, it's about 25 years shorter than the national average white male. That is horrendous and unexcusable. Their rates of diabetes, heart disease, everything is roughly double the normal population. These people need help drastically. And that's what we're doing, and it's, I can't even explain how rewarding that really is. Many of you guys, before we really started working with people, my dad was, telling people, seek out nutritional therapy practitioners. And it was really funny. The NTA were getting these calls from other NTPs and NTCs like, did you guys reach out to drivers? Like, we're getting all these truck driver clients. And the NTA was like, I have no idea what's going on. And obviously the name Kevin Rutherford came up. And so they reached out to him and like, what are you doing? He ended up coming to speak at the conference in 2016, 17? Maybe 2017's conference, I believe it was. Yeah, it was the year before I started going. I went to 2018, and this year he spoke at the 2017. It's been amazing. It's just been an awesome journey. That's where I'm at now. I now work with, like I said, our company, which is Destination Health with Let's Truck. Again, I can repost the links of how to find us here. And just amazing resources. You find us in our Facebook group. Come join us. Come give support. We love having other NTPs and NTCs in there who can help just give a lending support. And you can find us in various other ways, as well as just myself. And yeah, so that's us. That's what we do. That's where we are. Like I said, we kind of are, it's a broad and yet very specific focus. It's truck drivers, which is very specific as a tribe, but we see a myriad of different conditions inside that. We see autoimmunity, we see thyroid and metabolism, we see weight and obesity, we see metabolic syndrome, joint pain, arthritis, all these different things inside of it. So it's very interesting, the things we get to work with, and yet just this nutrient-dense approach of real food helps, as you guys know, the vast majority of that. And with some one-on-one targeted work, we even see greater improvement. And sometimes we're like, hey, we've done what we can to help you. There's some deeper digging that needs to be done, and we refer them to a functional medicine practitioner. Generally not a specific one. I've made a couple specific recommendations. Generally, we just recommend them to the IFM website, who has a great directory, the Institute of Functional Medicine, and we understand that it's okay. I see a lot of practitioners they feel like they've failed a client if they can't fix everything, and understand that you don't have to. And it's okay. What you do and the help you're going to give them, I promise, is going to be tremendous, especially if they're coming from a standard American diet. You will be able to help them a tremendous amount. And if you can't help them with everything, that's okay. The ability to understand that and know when you've done what you are able to and then refer out to someone is really powerful, and it's going to speak volumes to you and your client growth, I promise. So understand that that's okay, but we do have the ability and the tools to help a lot of people in amazing, tremendous ways. So that's kind of our story. That's my story and our story as a company, and what we focus on and what we do. I do want to remind you guys, because you guys are running out of time. You've got a couple weeks left to sign up for, if you are interested in becoming an NTP or an NTC. There's a couple options going on right now. I believe you've got 5 locations for the NTP program. So there's 3 workshops for the NTP program, and you will have throughout the time. So it's about the 3rd month in, around the 6th month in, and then right at the very end. It's a 9-month program. They have a West Coast, a West like inland, a East inland, and an East Coast option in the U.S. I believe there's and then you have an option down in Australia. So you've got those 5 options for the NTP program right now. And then there's the NTC program, which is now completely online. So for those of you who can't travel or don't have a location near you, the NTC program might be a great option for you. So those are coming up. You have until April 26th to get signed up. Classes start May 6th. This is the last round of the NTP program before the price jumps. So if you're on the fence, this is a great time to get in. This is going to be the lowest price offered from here on out for the NTP program. So jump on that, get signed up. I promise you will not be disappointed. Even if it's only for your own personal use, it's just amazing information to even just help you and your loved ones if you never go into a practice or work with anyone else. Just the information is just hands down amazing. They have financing options, like I mentioned. They work with a local credit union to give you financing abilities if you qualify for that. I believe they actually have one now in Australia as well as an option. So just lots of options there. And I believe if you're in Canada, there is not one there specifically yet. How much is it jumping? I'm not sure. I did not see the new pricing, but I know that there is definitely a price jump coming up, so definitely something to think about on that one. You could always reach out to the NTA. They have an amazing staff to help you guys out. Any questions you have, I come across no service that's better than theirs except maybe ours. But don't tell. I know some of the NTAs here listening, but I also graduated with one of their staff, so I love them. They're fantastic. Everyone there is a super big help. Definitely reach out to them. So it'll increase to 5,900. So it looks like maybe about a 500 increase. I think it's currently 5,400. So about a $500 increase with the September classes coming up. But I want to open it up for Q&A, guys. So any questions you have, whether that's about what we do as a business, any struggles we see, whatever your questions are, or if it's about the NTA and going through the program. I had a great time with that. I was probably very fortunate to have one of my absolute favorite people as an instructor. She was just amazing. And yeah, so we're open for questions. Any questions you guys have, let me know. I'd love to answer those. It's cucumber and orange. This is actually something that we've talked about. We get a lot of questions and complaints about, I just don't like water. Guys, I'm one of those people. It's not that I don't like water. If it's plain water, I'm so bad about drinking it on a regular basis. This, though, I crave infused water. If I do this, I will drink tons of these a day. This is a quart mason jar. It's a metal straw, don't worry, no plastic. And I love those straws, by the way. You can pick them up on Amazon. But infused water, and we've talked about that, and you get this nice, easy flavor. It's enhanced, and it's tasty. I like using citrus of any kind. Whatever you like, mix it up. Lemon, lime, oranges, grapefruits, whatever. Different oranges. I like using cucumber. It adds a really fresh just flavor to it. Herbs are another good one. You could use different fruits like berries. Berries and herbs go really well together. So like strawberry and basil, or strawberry and mint, blueberry and mint. These are all really good combinations. The questions will come up of, what about the sugar content? Are you getting a lot of sugars? Not really. You're not. You don't have to even macerate it. Like, I just kind of slice this and just mix it up. Are you going to get a little bit of sugar content? Maybe. It's nothing to be concerned about. It's so completely minimal, and the amount of water and hydration you're getting is going to be really, really beneficial. Are there plans to introduce a course in Canada in the future? Yeah, I do believe they've actually had Canadian locations before. I'm almost guaranteed they've had Canadian locations before. It's not all the time, but you can definitely look it up. There's a ton of locations coming in the September courses, by the way, for the NTP program. So you could definitely check that out. And I know those are posted. She just made a comment. Let's see. We can open this up, and I can see what we've got coming for locations here. But I saw the September listing, and there were a ton. So September, I don't see a Canadian one. You might be able to travel. You can always travel. I know a lot of people travel to them. Or again, the NTC program is always a fantastic option. Very similar, though they recently changed that program. The curriculum looks awesome and amazing. It's more focused on the pure power of food and the therapeutic uses of food, and less on the supplementing. It's not that NTPs are only trained in supplements. We obviously believe in the power of food. There's a little bit different focus. Great for people who are working either on their own, just with themselves, or in their close family, and just want to know the ability and therapeutic uses of foods, or they're working just all over, virtually with people. One of the big advantages of the NTP program is that you learn what's called the functional evaluation, which is a hands-on tool. You're literally palpating on the body in different areas to listen to the innate intelligence of the body on different reactions. And so if you're working virtually, you can't do that, obviously. And so it's a less used tool with someone like that. So starting in September, there's a lot. There's an Austin, Boston, LA, Phoenix, Portland, Sacramento, Boise, Seattle, DC, Melbourne, Australia, Tampa, Florida, Auckland, New Zealand, and Nashville, Tennessee coming in September. These May classes are Chicago, Denver, Philly, Sydney, and Vancouver, Washington. So lots of great options there as well. So definitely check those out, guys. Yeah, that's what they've got. So no plans currently for a Canadian one right now, but I know they are, as I just said, they are trying to get some more of those going. But like I said, you can always travel. I actually had 2 Canadians in mind. I went to an Olympia, Washington class, and we had 2 Canadians in our class. Again, that was an easy drive. It was just right over the border, probably about a 5-hour drive for them. And it's only every 3 months, so you're not going all the time. It's not like you need to be there every weekend by any means. Kind of make a mini little vacation out of it. Have some fun with it. They're usually in some pretty fun cities that have lots of other things going on. So maybe you take a week and you make a little vacation out of it. But yeah, that's really what I have, guys. So if we don't have any questions currently, that's cool. We can just kind of wrap this up. Again, feel free to reach out if you ever have any questions. Join our Facebook group. Reach out to me. I get tons of DMs, honestly, so I'm used to it. If you're not friends with me, I may not get it. I'm really bad at seeing like the pending ones, and I don't know how that thing works. It's like some weird algorithm as to what goes on there and what doesn't. It seems like, but feel free to reach out any way you want. We've got an amazing Tribe Care support, so you could always find us that way and ask us any questions. You can go to our website. There's easy ways to contact our Tribe Care. Lots of different options there. You can always, like I said, we've got tons of yummy snacks you can check out too. And yeah, if you're interested in the program, like I said, jump on it. I promise you will not regret going through this program. The information is just amazing. And I would do it all over again, 100 times if you gave me the option. Come to our conference. That could be a great way. The NTA has a conference every year, usually around March. We just had it about a month ago, first week of March, I believe. Amazing conference, tons of fun. You don't have to be a graduate or even a student to go. You can be completely unrelated and still come. And so, feel free to check that out. Maybe if you're just not sure, and come see the environment, come see the atmosphere. I can't even begin to describe how positive it is and just the support that everyone comes to and the information and the knowledge that's around. So check that stuff out. Yeah, I'll hopefully see you guys around. And like I said, if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. Well, yeah, definitely. You would have a great time, for sure. And that would be fantastic. And I will see you guys around.